So that is us live. Good evening, everybody. Pleased to say that I've got Andy Hague here with me, who is to do with both Plymouth, Oxford, and the Gladiators. So, same question as I asked to Derek back on Monday. What on earth possessed you to follow this bizarre sport of speedway?
Well, first of all, Paul, thanks for having me on tonight.
You're very welcome.
And apologies for the shirt for those watching back that might not be in the festive mood, but it had to be done. It's in between Christmas and New Year. So, without boring you too much, going way back, my great uncle was a rider for Poole, Tigger James. Obviously before my time, but my mum got it in the family. She used to go along. Then obviously I come along. I went when I was very young, so I can't really remember that time. Can't put a finger on the year of that. Maybe the Simmer era, maybe something like that. But that time I went, first year that I really remembered, it was 1990. Went to Poole because I lived just around the corner from the Pirates. And when they won the double in the National League, Co Cup, 1990. And fell out of love with it for a bit. 6 years later, come back early 2000s, something like that. And once you got the bite and it's really in, it's got you, isn't it?
Well, yeah. I mean, I was 2 years previous to you, 1988. But I went to Poole in 1989. Back then, of course, they had Lee Adams and Craig Boyce. Yeah, Lee Adams. Then in 1990, he had gone on to Swindon. And was Craig Boyce still there, or did he?
Yeah, Craig Boyce stayed. He was kind of the number one. You had Roscoe as a captain.
Yeah.
Langdon brothers, Gary Allen, Gary Chessel. There's the nerdy bit coming out of me. I remember that year really well. Rob Calhoun at number 7. It was good year, really good.
Oh, they were absolutely way ahead of everybody else, even in '89. Although Berwick did manage to win at Poole and won the Knockout Cup, everybody else was getting hammered at Wimborne, weren't they?
Yeah,
particularly Adams. I think he started on a 3 average and finished on about a 9.5.
And I think the following year was when Craig Boyce really stepped up, and he did what Adams did the year later. He was kind of my favourite rider at the time. Obviously, he was putting in the passes, so it was always thrilling to watch him.
Well, of course, Craig Boyce was famously the one that took a certain amount of retribution on a certain Mr. Golob at Hague.
Oh, yes, Grand Prix. We've all seen it. It's all on YouTube many times.
Well, it was great commentary, wasn't it? With the fact that later on that night, was it Frank Bruno was fighting, a heavyweight boxing match, and the commentator just said, "No, folks, you've not tuned into the wrong." Wrong bit. This is the speedway. The boxing will be on later.
And I think also the good thing about at the moment on YouTube is the fact that you can see the run up to that as well. So not just that moment, but you see the run up to it and afterwards on the phone and all the rest of it. So good memories. Good memories.
I love all that kind of stuff, and I must admit I am one of these ones that I would definitely back the riders. The authorities use clips like that, altercations, so we say, in order to promote the sport, quite rightly, but then they fine the riders for having been involved in an altercation. I think that's pretty unfair, really. But
I mean, it gets the clicks, doesn't it? We all like to say, I haven't been in a situation myself when we've been streaming.
No.
Where I've had the fingers on the buttons where I might have had to cut away. I haven't had that yet. Sure. So, I don't know what it's going to be like when it's sort of my snap decision to cut away or stay on it. I don't know. But people like to see it as part of, when it happens, it's part of the sport, I guess. It's just what it is. It's adrenaline. And, it's part of it. People want to see it. So, that's it.
Well, it's one of those interesting things about Speedway. Is it car crash TV or is it family entertainment? It's definitely got elements of both, hasn't it?
Yeah, it is family entertainment, and we like it to be a little bit rough around the edges sometimes. It's got to be exciting as well.
Exactly.
And why not? You know, it's sort of fuel filled, if you like. The adrenaline's pumping, and actually, it gets the fans. The fans buy into it as well. And the moment
they do.
Take away that side of things, it's like when you see an awesome, really, really good race.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll mention sort of Chris Harris going back.
Oh yes,
taking Poole when he took Jason
Doyle. Yeah,
to get them through to the final. I mean, you watch that back, but if you were there on the night and you were watching, a lot of people watching at home, you buy into it. Yeah. You're emotionally involved. I know you're a performer as well outside of Speedway, and if you can get people emotionally involved in what you're doing, whether it's on the Speedway track or with an instrument or anything like that, you've got people. You've got them
exactly,
and you can build with them, take them on a journey.
Yeah. So anyway, so you obviously you started following the Speedway in 1990, this deranged sport. And not only that, but you decided to take your camera along at some point and start filming. How on earth did that come about?
Okay, bit of a story there. So
go for it. Go for it. We've got all night.
2013. It was the summer. So I obviously used to go to Speedway, used to watch it, but that was it. Just a fan, same as everyone else. And then 2013, I was at home and I just had a stroke. Like that, come out of nowhere, and basically for about 6 years, it took me six and a half years to get my driving license back. I lost the ability to speak. I couldn't walk. That was at the age of 37. You know, obviously, I had a little girl. You know, my future wife as well. You know, just moved in, so complete change in everything. So I was a musician, singer before that. Never filmed anything in my life. No, nothing. But part of my recovery was to go and sit at the computer, and sort of 15 minutes when I had the energy to try and bring up some videos I wanted to watch on Speedway, and literally my hands were like this, and I was pushing the keyboard as part of my, you know, rehabilitation, if you like, to try and find things frustrating it was. But actually, the weird thing is that whilst the Grand Prix footage was kind of out there and the regular stuff, I was a great fan of Ricardson when he was riding for Poole, and yes. There was nothing at that time. There was nothing online, or that if you didn't buy the VHS tape, yes, that was it. It's gone. It's finished. You know, all those memories are sat in a drawer. And I understand copyright and all of that. I do. Anyway, that was the kind of start the thought process. And whilst I couldn't do anything, I started to build a kind of an app where I kind of gathered what was available together in like an online index, if you like. And I reached out to Barry Bishop on the Isle of Wight, who had literally, him and Martin Wimmer had just started the Isle of Wight again and were just looking to start the Isle of Wight. And I said, look, I don't know if I can be of any help. Obviously, I was recovering at that point. But let's have a chat. And I had a chat with Barry, and that was the start of it. I never, even when I started on the island, I didn't even have a camera. So I brought my friend Rob along, who was filming, and my brother was filming. And I was just going to do some editing and just try and pull it together. But as it went on, things grew bigger and, you know, full of ideas over there on the island. And, you know, you get another bit of equipment and you want to try something else. You want to push the boundaries, always want to push the boundaries. And then the idea was to try and get, in those times, you couldn't have any on-track footage whatsoever allowed on the internet. So basically I thought, okay, well, let's do everything else. And at that time, no one was really doing it. So we were filming loads of interviews and the pit walks and yes. The parades, everything we could. And I was just coming home and editing and putting them out and trying to get them out nice and quick so that it was still fresh news. And things just moved on from there. You think you're going down one way in life, like the stroke took me another way and brought me into Speedway. And then you just kind of go with it. And then you meet other people and you get new friends, you meet other people, you meet promoters, and it sort of spreads out from there. But Barry Bishop on the Isle of Wight, Martin Widman, they gave me my first chance to get inside of the sport to see if I could do anything to help. It's not an easy sport to get inside of. It really isn't. And, probably because once you are there, there's a lot of trust you've got to keep, and also a lot of hard work. You got to deliver on things as well. So if you say, I'm going to do something, you kind of really got to do it and get it out in the time that you say. So lots of late nights in those early years, definitely.
Wow. So after the Isle of Wight, where else did you start doing your filming?
So it was, the Isle of Wight was kind of constant from end of 15 or 16 right the way through, let's say, to 2021, just after COVID. But in that time, I went to Somerset. So I was doing loads at Somerset.
Yep.
Gary May has become a great friend. Lots of travelling with Gary, obviously now at Plymouth, but lots at Somerset. I was at Eastbourne for a couple of years. Again, this sport can really give you make good friendships, lifelong friendships outside of this sport. Not a lot of people talk about that, but I couldn't drive. At that time I had no license, so machine examiner at Poole and also spares guy Ricky, Neil, and Colin. I used to jump in the van, they pick me up, and off we go. We go to the Isle of Wight. I've been to Kent with them, I was working at Eastbourne. Even Newcastle at one point, although I never went to Newcastle through Steve Brock. They send me footage down and I try and put it together and put things out for them for a couple of years there as well. I'm sure I'm missing quite a few others, but that was it really. And of course, Paul at the time as well, during that time as well.
Sure. I suppose at this point we should probably just retract a little bit and go back. Although it's mainly a case of I first met you. I think it was Plymouth, not this year, but previous year. We actually met. But of course, we actually knew each other mainly through a mutual friend, a certain G. Blair from Scotland. But not the infamous Greg Blair from Jedburgh, who I must say is doing a fantastic job with his Total Access shows and presenting with Eric.
Yeah.
But Gary Blair of Glasgow, who plays the same as you and me, we are all accordionists, aren't we?
Oh, definitely. Gary was my accordion idol growing up.
Yeah.
I had one tape when I was a child, and that tape I've still got to this day. And I've told him many times how I've tried to keep up with that tape, but it still goes too fast. I think it gets quicker as it gets older. That's the problem. I get slower. That tape gets quicker. But yeah. GB.
Well, I first met Gary. It would have been mid 80s. I'm going to say possibly 1984 when I first met him, I bump him to every now and again. I met him recently at an accordion club here in the Borders.
I know you sent me a picture. Well, Gary sent me a picture of you guys. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. So it's always good to bump into fellow accordionists.
Definitely.
So obviously we're going to do this first because this is really important. It's just for a bit of fun and for people following as well. You have your choice of this as well. You know that if you're watching on YouTube, you can comment, and any comments will come up on the screen here. And if you've got any questions for Andy, we will do that. But surely for fun. Merely for fun. Sorry, I'll get it right in a minute. So here are an either or. You get to choose one or the other. Okay.
Okay, go for it. Yeah, go for it.
Okay. Now this will be way over the heads of everybody out there. A Guarini Superior or a Hona Merino?
Hona Merino.
Seriously, yeah? Over
Yeah,
the Italian. Yeah. Wow, okay. Musette or polka?
Musette.
Good lad,
hang on. No. Hang on. Was that musette or polka?
Polka, yeah.
No, a polka with the musette coupler. There you go.
Okay, this is one for the ladies out there. Patsy Cline or Taylor Swift?
Oh, I had to take my youngest one to a Taylor Swift tribute last year.
Oh,
she and I think she's watching, so she'll absolutely kill me if I said Patsy Cline. So Taylor Swift.
You're a Swiftie.
Well, you can say what you like. Yeah. Hello, little one.
Yeah. Pink Floyd or AC/DC?
Pink Floyd.
Excellent. Getting a bit upbeat now. Groove Armada or Prodigy?
Neither.
Aye. Oh, you got to choose one.
Groove.
Yeah, good stuff.
Groove Armada, yeah.
Not Mr. Flint with his pierced tongue. No,
it's a bit heavy for me.
Yeah, okay. Football, Bournemouth or Southampton?
Got to be the Cherries, isn't it?
Has it? All right, okay. Bournemouth.
Yeah.
Well, they're the local ones, aren't they? Yeah.
Yeah, it's around the corner. Yeah.
Do they still play football at Wimborne Road, by the way?
No, they don't. They're just literally around the corner from there, not too far away from there, but they don't. Yeah, something to do with the, well, not something to do, but part of it. I think the track encroached on the pits in the corners or something. I don't know.
Right.
Yeah, take the pitch up or something, the corners of the pitch.
I know that when I got there last year for the rained off one, it was I couldn't believe how busy the car park was, even at midday.
Oh yeah, people. So I get to, well, before we go over, I get to pull quite early to set up the streams.
Yep.
And there'll be people sat outside, ready to be first in from sort of 1:15. Literally sat by the door. Yeah. I think you're frozen. Hello, Paul. You still there? He looks frozen to me, so I've no idea if the stream's still going ahead or not. We'll see.
Come back. There we go.
Oh, there you go. There you are. You're back.
Yeah,
I thought I was going to have to do a sing. I have to get the box out in a minute.
Well, that was the idea. That was the plan.
Yeah, it didn't go to plan, did it?
No. Okay. Drink. Well, actually, this is of no interest to you at all. Then Stella or BrewDog, because it's Coke.
Everybody that knows
Coke
me.
or Vimto.
Coca-Cola. Everybody knows me. Tito always have been.
And Prosecco or champagne. Well, that's wasted as well.
Yeah, stick on the usual.
Okay. Seafood. Oysters or caviar.
Ooh. I have to, don't I? I have to. Oh, wow. Whichever you like. They're both as bad as each other, I presume. Not that I really have a taste for either of them, but yeah. No. Nice piece of cod with some chips next to it. That'll do it. That's the seafood.
No, I do like the caviar if I can ever get it. Obvious. So it's going to be Plymouth or Pirates. I think it's going to be obvious which one's going to be the one there. Equally
the same.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Here's a good one for you because I've got this framed print of Jenson Button from the year that he won the Formula One. And I've always had this thing about Formula One. Love watching it. But that year that he was absolutely sensational. And it's like Lewis Hamilton has won the world championship something like 6 times. But from a British sporting fan's point of view, I always feel that Jenson Button is the one that people like more. So the question is, Mark Laram or Ty Ruffenden?
Mark Laram. Nothing against Ty.
No.
Mark Laram. It's just that was mile around.
Did you? I mean, he obviously rode. Oh, famously, he also rode for Poole, didn't he? What era would that have been in?
That was right after Tony Ricard. No, right before Tony Ricardson. So I want to say that was. He was world champion, wasn't he? He won the world championship as he was in his last year with Poole. So I think that was right. So around that sort of time. Yeah.
Well, that's
great. That great guy. I only met him once, but I got the utmost respect of the riders like that give their time when I'm sort of asked him for interviews and bits and pieces, and that is never lost on me with any rider from National League to absolute legends. So I got utmost respect when any of those riders give their time for interviews, always.
Yeah, I always remember you mentioned Tony Rickardson a couple of times there, and our promoter in the late 90s, early 2000s was Peter Waite, and he always used to say the fact that he used to joke about the fact that he wants to sign Tony Rickardson. That would be his ultimate rider to bring to Shield.
Yeah.
It must have been great to have seen these guys at their peak.
Yeah, I was, again, I was a little bit younger and lots else going on, although I was a fan and it was great. But obviously now being involved amongst it a little bit, although I'm more in the trenches these days, in the rooms rather than in the pits. But, it's nice to be in amongst it and really see them when they're working behind the scenes, if you like. That's what I like.
Yeah, exactly. So moving on. So I've got another little fun one here for you that you might like to have a look at. I did these recently. They are combinations of three riders put together to form a completely bizarre face, and it occurred to me that this one is actually three riders that are not just one season wonders at Berwick, but also got a strong association with the South Coast. So any idea who this is?
Okay, Chris Harris is definitely in there. That's definitely Ben Barker at the top. You could put a curveball in there and say that's Chris Harris again in the middle as well from a different era, but
it's not
no, I give us a clue.
If I'd have chosen his chin, I would have probably have given it away for the fact that there's something noticeable about this guy's neck, if you like.
And he rides for Poole right now.
Yes.
Yeah, there we go.
There you
Mr. Kerr.
Exactly, yes. And of course, he famously has actually got relations up here in Scotland, in the borders.
Oh.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
I've got a couple of good friends. His uncle and cousin are good friends of mine here in Galashiels, yes. Although bizarrely, they because I think Louis lives down near King's Lynn, they've never actually met, but they're aware of one another. And they
okay.
Yeah, it's a bizarre one, that one. Here's another one for you. It's a bit trickier for you. Well, but having said that, obviously we tend to like our speedway, don't we? So we tend to know and recognise other riders. I've got one here that I shared on the old Facebook page for the Bandits. See if you can recognise any of these.
Okay, so Charlie Jada.
Yes.
That's the bottom one. Is that Ed Kennett in the middle?
It's Edward Kennett.
And at the top, I should get this one. Clue?
As I say, only one season at Berwick.
I know. Henning Bear?
No.
Oh, okay. No, go on then.
track record at Berrington Lough. In fact, he beat Andrew Silver's track record, went under it, and Lee Adams was in that meeting, and Lee Adams also went under the previous track record. It's Jimmy Nielsen.
Oh, okay. Good rider in his time, but yeah, no, I wouldn't have got that.
No. Okay, one more for you. Again, this will be quite tricky because there's a couple here that unless you're a real Bandit fan, you probably wouldn't recognise. But for all you Bandit fans out here, again, one season wonders. This fella, these three, rode for the Bandits just for one season. No. Well, the middle one,
no,
I always associate with Eastbourne. Lewis Bridger.
Yeah.
The top, the hairstyle is of a Hungarian rider that only had one season at Berwick but did very, very well. Norbert Magoshi.
Yeah, I wouldn't have got that.
The bottom one, he came to Berwick from Newport. He came on a sub 5-point average and finished like over 7 points. Absolute legend at the Bandits. Only did the one season. Carl Wilkinson.
Yeah, wouldn't have got that one either.
Anyway,
they're tricky. These are tricky.
Well, yeah, you got to make them tricky, haven't you? Here's my next question then for you.
Okay.
So nowadays you're filming at both at obviously Poole and Plymouth. What's it like doing the job that you have to do?
Well, so the only time I'm physically behind the camera these days within Speedway is when BSN are in the south. Yes. And I go on and I film behind the camera. So quite often if you're at Poole, Oxford or Plymouth, especially Poole or Oxford, I'll be up on the tower, Ben 1, behind the camera for that. But when I'm at Poole, Plymouth and Oxford, when BSN aren't there, I don't actually get to watch any live Speedway. I haven't watched any live Speedway apart from probably in 4 years, because obviously we're live streaming. So I'm more the producer role. So I've got 3-4 screens around me, and all the buttons and pushing and directing and to the guys that are out there on the floor, so to speak, and they're filming the stage. Really, it's nerve-wracking.
Yep. And
it's with it being live. So
I was going to say, would you like to share with us?
So last season? Yeah, last season we were down a crew member at Plymouth, and we had various static cameras. No, it wasn't actually. We did have full crew, but for whatever reason, we lost during the broadcast. We lost 3 of the 4 cameras for one reason or another. The Wi-Fi signal went down, and something else happened. And the main camera, I think the focus we had problems with. So the Roman camera, who was my brother, he had to run up from centre green and do 2 races just handheld, whilst we got the camera sorted out. And the commentators are sort of commentating, looking around at us, thinking, "What's going on?" And I'm sort of saying, "Keep going," and we're rushing around. Basically, with it being live, you're constantly kind of, I would say, fighting fires to a degree, and trying your best so that it doesn't come across at home. And if you see me around the tracks on race night beforehand, these days people probably think I'm really miserable, because I'm very, very focused, very driven in what can go wrong. Even if I turn up and everything is working and we're all set up early, I just know that so much can potentially go wrong that, and then it's not until I get in the car and we're driving home that I can start to relax. It's quite, I take it really seriously. I try and do my best every time, as does all the crew. We got fantastic crew at all of the venues. So Rob and Paul go to all the venues with me. And then we also have people that like commentators at Plymouth and commentators at Poole, and different parts that do those clubs. And honestly, they're brilliant. And how they put up with me on some of the nights, I don't know. But I always get a phone call the next day saying that I'm really sorry. There was a lot going on you didn't see, or I really enjoy it. It's always a challenge, but yeah, it's just fighting fires to try and make sure that we get the broadcast out, that all the races go out, that people at home can do that. And literally, we come away from there, we get to the first McDonald's, 11 o'clock at night, whatever it is, once we packed up. And whilst the order's coming in, we're all on our phones, scouring the net just to see, did people have issues this night or whatever. And we always say, if there's nothing there, it's been a great night, because you don't get a lot of praise online, but if something goes wrong, they tell the world. So we just try and do our best and hope that when things don't quite go right, we're able to mask it.
Well, I was going to say, it sounds a little bit as if the, from a musical background, the ability to be able to busk is obviously quite a useful thing.
Yeah. The other thing is, of course, Paul, and you'll know this, once you step on stage and you take on that role, there's no going back. You can have nerves, but you have to do the show. You have to do it. Yes. You have to put it together. You've got to command it. You've got to do it. It's just when you agree to do that. We read what we were saying earlier on. When you agree to do things in this sport, you've got to carry on. And coming from a professional singer, entertainer, the moment you take on that gig, that booking, you step on that stage, you've got to do it. It doesn't matter if the crowd are not what you expected, or the type of music you'll play is not what they're expecting. You've got to do everything you can to get through that gig and do the best you can. And this is the same. Things go wrong, but you just got to do your best and keep on it.
Well, we'll get on to. You've also had some involvement with is it the Bandits TV, or is it the BSN when they were at Berwick?
So no, Bandits TV. So Martin Hunter, obviously with him and Ben that do BSM, fantastic by the way, and I get on really well with them, especially Martin. Sort of talking tech and stuff. It's really great. He really knows his stuff, and he's been a great help to me as well. So he's busy, and when he's busy, if Berwick have got a stream on and he's not able to do it, sometimes he'll say, look, can I cover it? So I'm down here, literally here, on the screens behind me, and I'm sort of trying to not produce a show because it's a bit different, but I'm just trying to make sure that I get the feed come in, I put the graphics on, do the replays, and then make sure that all goes out for delivery to those sat at home. Yep. Even though I've never been to Berwick, I'm actually sat here doing it some of the time. So I don't know. I think we've done 4, maybe 5, something like that. And again, I've not met the crew up at Berwick, but I've talked to them many times, and obviously I've heard them. I've been sat there with me cans on doing the graphics and stuff. So it's really interesting the way things are working. What you can do when we had a situation at Oxford this season where we had no commentator. So I think it was Dave Rowe. It was Dave Rowe. He couldn't get. He would be able to do it, but we couldn't guarantee he'd get to us in time.
Yeah.
So we did him remotely.
Right.
So he was commentating, and I was directing and sending over to the pits and flying back to Dave. And it's amazing what you can do now, and what you hope people at home don't pick up on. And at the end of it, you think, wow, just think about that. They're all over the place and different counties, and we're pulling it together. It's great. It's great. And like I said, the crews, they really do know their stuff. And as a side note, I could be behind the camera. I've done some interviewing, not the best, but I can do that, produce whatever. But you would not get me to be a commentator. No. And you wouldn't get me to just sort of say anything against commentary either, because I just know how difficult that task is, and you can never fully win, no matter who you are. You can never win on that one. And I just think that whoever's out there doing the commentary, whether they're starting out or whether they're seasoned pros, fair play, because it's something that I wouldn't put my hat in the ring to do that. No. I know how difficult that is.
Yeah. Now, I don't know if you can see the picture in front of you.
Yeah.
I thought this was one of my highlights of the season just gone.
So this was brilliant. This is, sorry, I'm going to jump in because
you tell us about it.
First of all, you got the little lad there, in this costume that they put together, and it was an idea from the Plymouth media team, who really sort of a new team took over last year. We started the season with some university students.
Yep.
And we got tied in with that, but also a guy called Sam Whitfield from UK Weather Chase come on board at the beginning of the year, and within a few meetings he kind of took point on things and really got things together, and it's just grown from that. The ideas he's executing them, and the difference that's had with the buzz of the place as well. We've all seen it. More people are coming in for the crowds. There's just more of a buzz of the place. A lot of that is down to Sam and his team that are really getting the buzz out there on social media, and it is converting to getting people in, and that right there is it says it all. You've got a youngster there dressing up. There was several others as well. You also obviously got the Pirate fan in the background there. You picked a good picture there to have them both there. Thank you. And it's great. Really great. And it's great to, I could talk forever about, Plymouth, as I could about Poole and Oxford as well. But Mark works so hard. Mm-hmm. And actually I put that to other promoters as well. I can't speak for those that I don't know or I haven't seen, but I've been around the promoters on race day or after race days or during the week, conversations, but especially on race day. And it doesn't matter, they are working so hard. They got a lot on the line.
Yeah.
And, when you think that, some people will say, oh, they're making money, they're just not saying it, some of them or whatever. Honestly, if you could just regularly be around what they're doing, the things you don't see, the work that they're putting on in the offices during race day. Yes, Mark will be on that track. That's his style. He will be working really hard on that track. You won't see Danny on the track in that way, but Poole. But I'll see Danny doing other track work on other days, and I'll see how hard he's working in the office. When I get there on race day, he's already been and gone and come back again on different things. He runs social media. So really, there's so much going on. There's so much stress, so much pressure. And also, there's so much going on that they can't talk about.
Sure.
And I'm not saying I know, because I don't. But there is a lot of pressure there. And you imagine you're working on something, you can't say something, or something, you can't say something, but you're getting beaten down a little bit. You can't say anything, but you've got to take that weight, and it's a heavy weight to take. So, sure. I'm lucky that I get to see bits of that, because it makes me appreciate just how difficult it is. It really is.
Sure. I think I don't know if you noticed who it is that's being thrown off the plank.
Hang on, I ain't got the glasses on. I'm looking at a monitor that's quite a way away, but no, I can't see it. It's a bit too far away from me.
It's the Rocket Man.
Oh, it's Richard. Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Well, yeah. Used to be a bit of a fan favourite down there, but he, maybe not so these days.
Well, do you know who actually posted this? Well, this is how I saw this picture. Do you know who posted it on his Facebook page?
I don't, but I'll probably say Ben.
Richard Lawson.
Was it? Oh, fantastic.
He appreciated it so much. He put a message about it just to show that imagination is alive and well on the south coast of England. Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah. I did enjoy that. That was
yeah.
Anyway, let's see how I get. There's a button I need to press to. Well, anyway, sorry.
This is great. You push all the buttons. I can just sit here and relax for once.
Exactly.
Pressure's off.
Yeah, there we go. So, season just gone for the Pirates and the Gladiators. Thoughts on the season that's just gone?
I think Plymouth had a great season as far as the momentum that they built up that we've talked about already. Really important that the fans continue to come in, and that if they can start the season anywhere near where they finish fan wise with that hype, and like I said, they are keeping that social media presence there. If they can do that, then it's really looking good for this year. They've got a fantastic team. So probably disappointing they didn't sneak into the playoffs. But hey, there's only a certain amount of teams that are going to do it. And actually, if you look at it, the way things are going, it was what it was. But I think it was a successful year for Plymouth. Poole,
good.
Well, brilliant. They had to work for it.
Yes,
they did have to really work for it. And I think, there were times I can't remember how much they were taken up to Glasgow for the final. And I thought, it's not done and dusted sort of thing. It's really within their grasp, So they worked for it, and it wasn't an easy season for them. I would say it wasn't an easy season, and they did really well to pull through and to get there. I think it was 2 out of 3 when they lost the BSM. Was it the BSM?
Yes, I think it was that was to Redcar, wasn't it? Because the Redcar got a draw at Poole, but won by 2 points. It was by the barest of margins.
Yeah. A successful season, and of course working with Oxford as well.
Yeah.
Again, love that. Jamie's great, and they got the 3 teams. Okay, we know about the top league, and it was difficult for him, difficult season for that. But it was a nice place. It's a nice place to go to work and be amongst it. It really is. Even when things aren't quite going well, it is a nice place. Picture Oak, great to be around. Like I said, always got time. The riders, Luke Colleen, always got time for people. It's great. A nice place to work. Good.
So, what are the changes to the Poole team for this coming season that most sort of you like the looks of?
I think. Well, obviously you've got Rich at the top.
Yeah.
Now, personally, at Poole, well, first of all, Richard is nearly maybe a couple of points off or whatever, decimal points off top of the league with Sam Masters. But around Poole, as a Poole rider, they can't have a better points machine that solidly, when he goes on track, that's going to deliver. So first of all, they can't select anyone better for themselves than that. I think Dan Gilks has been very unlucky. We know that he's had a lot of knocks. He's a really nice guy. And I think he's really shown what he can do in glimpses, and then he's got knocked. I really hope he has a clear year and he can finally show what he is capable of doing. Definitely. It just needs that clear year, to hopefully stay free of injury and push on. But for me, I think it's interesting to see how the 2 guys at reserve are going to get on.
Yep.
You probably saw that coming, really, Paul, to be honest with you. But
yeah.
Did you see the release video for Connor, the 007? Not Connor. What's it?
Cooper.
Cooper. That's it. That's it. It was Connor that did the video. And we did that. I was there on the day, and it was torrential rain. It was a nightmare. My cameras weren't working, so I wasn't of much use. But the social media guy who does the multimedia footage, Connor, he pulled together a blinder of that release video for him. But those two riders, I think you've got an air of how's it going to go, but in a good way. I can see them again getting the fans in here. Really, the fans are going to buy into them when they go out, both of them. Mm-hmm. So that's a good thing for the club. That's really going to help the club because the fans are going to be louder because they're going to buy into them because they're going to engage with the fans, and they're super talented. We all know that. You know, we know what they can do in the junior ranks. We've seen it, and obviously. He did really well. Will did really well. We know what he's kind of capable of. So, yeah, I would say in that team, you got Richard, who is absolutely solid points machine there. They've got a good middle order, but the two reserves, that's going to be something to watch, I think.
Yeah, the interesting one for me is that, I'm like you. I just love seeing the British youngsters doing well. And there was a whole load of them, the Thompson twins, Leon Flint, as you say, your Jokes and Drew Kemp. And in that category, Anders Rowe. And I thought he finished off the season before with Glasgow as an express train. And when Poole signed him, I thought, he's going to really, really push on. Did he really have a good season with Poole this year? Because obviously he's actually to move on to Oxford, presumably for the points. But
I get on really well with Anders. So
yeah.
I've known, well, we've all known, but I obviously he come from the National League, and I helped out with the GB Young Lions when they were on their training camps in on the island years and years ago when Andy was there as well. So I've got that kind of rapport with him, if you like. Although he hates doing interviews and won't do an interview at the beginning of the meeting. Sorry, Anders. But he won't do that. But that's like a superstition. But he's good with it. He's respectful with that, the way he says it. So I can respect that. I think he had a good season. I think some riders, and not just Anders here, some riders, that slow burner.
Yeah.
It will just keep. They might not just do that, but they'll just each year and like you take Dan Thompson, if you like, you mentioned him, and Joe, they're steady. Luke Lean's another one I mentioned him earlier. Steady. And I would go back. Now, my memory might not be right on this, so it's probably completely wrong. But the way I remember it is there was a year when Poole brought in Troy Batchelor and Jason Doyle at reserve for their first years in whatever it was. And I think in those few years, Troy, really took off quite quickly.
Yeah.
But Jason just went, and then he found it, and then he just remained up there. So I think with Andy, going back to Anders, I think he had a good season. I think he probably looked back and say, that match wasn't so good. That match one, I could have done better there. But name me one person that doesn't. I know I do with the streams. But I think if you look back on the whole, I think, Anders is not only is he a heat leader, but he's proven himself as a solid second heat leader in the team. Yeah. So for me, I think he had a good season. I think he can push on.
Well, I noted that you've got Louis Kerr coming back, and he's on about the same points as we've got Nick Morris coming back to Bandits on a 6.8, and surely capable of adding point and a half, maybe 2 points to that.
There's always the couple of riders, maybe each year or every other year, that comes in on an average, and you think, any team would like to just pick them on that. And I think you hit the nail on the head, and you got a smile as well, because you know full well that Nick Morris is that rider that everyone's looking at. Will say, yeah, on that average, yeah, we'll fancy that. But Louis Kerr, he's had the mechanical issues last year. It's been talked about. We all know what he can do. He can go out there and he can go 3-3-3-3.
Yes.
And then he's had times when he's not done that, when perhaps he could have done. So, probably for Louis being good consistently, probably would be a good aim this year. But who am I to say? You know what I mean? I just sit behind the screen. I wouldn't say that. But for me, we know how good he can be, how good he is. He is better than the average he's sat on right now. And I think if he can just consistently be the rider that he probably knows he can be, and we know he can be, then he'll be all right.
So I was down at Oxford earlier in the season to see Berwick at Oxford. I also went to Poole.
I have got the Oxford here as well.
You have
just
indeed.
Just in case Jamie's watching. All right.
And you know what was funny was coming out at the end of the meeting. There was a group of Oxford supporters that were ahead of me, but I could hear them talking about actually for the next season, and they were all moaning about the fact that they want Scott Nicholls back. They need him back. He's the captain. They need him back at Oxford. Lo and behold, he's gone and signed for. Well, we know where he's going to be next season.
Yeah. Who doesn't want Scott in their team?
Right.
Ultimate professional. He's going to turn up and he's going to go on that track to win that race. Right. And if he comes second or third, it isn't for any other reason that someone's beaten him or there's an issue. Do you know what I mean? He's not one that's just going to race around the back. He will never do that. He's a professional, and this is his job, and he brings a buzz about himself. There just is a buzz, like Chris Harris. Yeah. When they turn up, I've been there. I've seen it at Oxford last year when they had him in the Spires team. You just look at the pits before the meetings. Look at the amount of people that are just standing around, just watching what he's doing and stuff. They just. Yeah, and the same as Scott as well. Ultra professional, a great guy. I did some work with Scott. We did a podcast. You were Scott and Brando and back along and away from the track. Exactly the same as at the track. He's spot on.
And I believe he's got shirts nearly as loud as Andy Hague.
Don't know. We'll let the comments section say something on that. But yeah, mind you, he hasn't seen some of my gigging shirts, so give him a run for his money. That's for sure. So could you.
Ditto.
Yeah.
And what of the rest of the Plymouth team? You've got Danny King coming in.
Great. So they put Mark and Gary. They have put together a really great team. I'm more excited about this team than I was about the team that had Jason Crump and in 2021 and Bjarni.
Yeah.
This team, brilliant. So you got Danny King and Scott Nicholls.
Yeah.
As a pair, both English, British, equally both professional. They're going to go out there. They're going to communicate. They're good to have in the pits. They're solid to have against your other riders as well. People listen to them, great in every way, and listen to the manager and work with the manager as well. Obviously, Joe Thompson had a great year again. And again, if you look at Joe, he's pushing each year. He's doing his bit. I don't know what he's sat on now, 5.8, something like that.
Yeah.
He puts a point and a little bit on there. Yeah, I'll take that. No problem at all. Ben Barker. So we know that he's Marmite, but at Plymouth, is absolutely God. And honestly, some of the manoeuvres he's pulled last season, especially last season, out the bag at Plymouth on that tight track, he just had to be back. So the team wouldn't be, if Ben Barker's riding, he's got to be in the team. Tobias Thompson, another great guy. Just did a video for him the other day. He's a guy that, again, is going to get the crowd from in here. He's going to pull the crowd in on their journey, and that's going to help the business, without a shadow of a doubt. He's an overtaker. He's a trier. He's not a giver and upper. He will give his time willingly at the track for the fans, for the media, and he will just try and he'll interact. So brilliant. Klima at reserve, great rider. We had just enough time to see what he could do. Just enough time before he got injured and he was out. But he will be, in my opinion, a great rider. And I tell you what, when you've got a rider like him in reserve, what does that mean? If he has the season we think he's going to have,
you're always going to have somebody drop down.
Exactly. And who, Tobias or Joe, how good does that look? Regardless, if that happens. So, and great to have Tom Spencer at 7 as well, right? Okay, 2-point rider, but he signed for Plymouth last year. Come in, really great in the pits, from what I'm hearing. Although I'm not there, I'm in the control room, if you like. But obviously, I'm close to Gary and Mark as well. Very respectful. He's a team player. He's in there. He's doing his bit. He got out in front of quite a lot of riders when he had a chance at Plymouth, and he held them up and got some good results. So, when you look over the whole league, a good guy. So, good team.
Yeah. Just going back to Ben Barker. Ben Barker, for Berwick fans, is an interesting character because he actually had, as you know, he had a few meetings for Berwick, got injured, and that was going to be him finished for the rest of the season. Obviously must have recovered well and ended up back in the league at the end of the season. So for some reason, I'm not entirely sure. I'd have to do a bit more research on that there are certain Bandit fans for whom Ben Barker is not there. He's a bit of a Charlie Jeddah type of character. But what I would say is he still the track record holder there?
No.
I
don't think so. Hang on. No, I don't. I can't remember who he is now.
Right.
I've got a feeling. No, I've got a feeling someone else has got it. He was trying to think. Zane Keller, Richie Worrell, Ben. I think someone else got it from him.
Right.
I think they did. I think they got it for him, but I can't remember who that is at the moment. But I and all of the crew at Gladiators TV, we absolutely adore Ben.
Yeah.
You hear other people and they've got their different opinions. Honestly, we turn up there, we get there early. Ben's the first one there.
Yep.
He's walking the track. He's the first one to take a bike out if a teammate needs it.
Yep.
He's motivating everybody. He really gets stuck in, and he gets the crowd from in there. It's really important that. So and we love it. And sometimes, if it's a junior meeting we got on and we're streaming it, he'll just say, "Oh yeah, do you want me to jump on comms? I'll come and jump on comms for it." And it does great. So honestly, it's great. Yep. Really great. We like it.
I remember not last year, because I did see you last year. I didn't see you this year. I never made it down as far as Devon, but I was there the previous year, and the year before that, he was definitely going for the track record. Got very close in the Berwick meeting. Well, he got it a couple of meetings later, if I remember rightly.
Yeah, he did get it. Because he did. Yeah, he liked to keep telling everyone. Yeah, but he got it, and it was great. But I could be wrong. I probably am, but I've just got a feeling that he's not got that track record at the moment. Right, but I could be wrong. maybe someone in the comments, if there is anybody watching, maybe they could let us know how wrong I am, and if he's got it, great.
And I'll just take you back to the Pirates for this coming season. They've also got Shane Bowes' young lad,
Fraser
Bowes, who looks to be pretty useful.
I saw a report today that he had a crash in today's meeting.
Right.
But I don't know any more than that yet. The Phil Crump thing.
Yep.
Obviously, you read things, but I've not heard any more than that. So hopefully he's not in a way, injured. Honestly, he had a fantastic meeting at Poole, the first meeting he came in, which is probably he did so well that probably got him his spot. I don't know, but he just did phenomenally well on that one meeting. Other than that, I don't really know much more about him, so I couldn't comment further. But just look forward to seeing how he does in the team there.
Well, if he's anywhere near as popular as his dad, Shane Bowes was at Glasgow, because he was absolutely adored at Glasgow.
So was that the early 90s?
Yeah, that would be the early 90s. Yeah, Shane Bowes. And then moving on finally then to the Berwick second team, known as the Oxford Cheetahs.
Oh, that hurts. That does.
Sam's obviously back.
Again, same as Richard. For that club, I mean, Sam is the top rider in the league. The figures show that. But if you're going to be at any club, then he's got that from being at that club. So from their point of view, they can't have a better rider for their club than Sam. And as we've talked about, if he does that next step as well and solidifies that second one and makes that his own. But they've got Eric Riss. He's got Eric Riss, up there as well. And, crikey, wasn't it? He got like 20 points. Was it like at the beginning of the season? 20 out of 21 or something for the Spires in his first meeting when he jumped in. It's possible. He's done it. So, from a heat leader trio, powerful. Again, spoken about Luke Colleen and Mitch McDermott, much the same. If they can just do their next level, then that's a powerful top five. Obviously, if you've got such a powerful top five, there is a points limit that they've got to play with at 6 and 7. So they got Darryl Richards.
Yep.
And the other reserve is Dale Wood, is it?
Yep, Dale
Wood. Okay, so Dale Wood had I can't remember what was it. He probably when he came to Plymouth, the last time he came to Plymouth this year, had a good couple of outings.
Right.
Well, I remember, and I remember going at the beginning of a meeting the next day. I think he was in the pits for a National League meeting at Oxford, and I think we had a little discussion about it. But again, probably people are going to be looking to those two to try and get some scouts, especially with other teams that have gone for a heavier top end.
Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting to see how they get on against the others, at that standard. So, and I mean, from what I've heard, Darryl, I don't know them very well, but Darryl is such a nice guy, and is good to be in a team with. I know he was at Poole for a bit, and Poole loved him. Crowd got behind him, so he's a good positive for the club. Definitely. Yeah, and I'm sure other clubs would have liked him to be part of their team as well, because we just take that to one side for a moment. It's very important, in my opinion, that you got certain riders that just bring good vibes to the pits on their side.
Yes.
You take, and I will say this. Someone like Jason Edwards. There isn't a day you see Jason Edwards that he will not walk with the pitch with his head held high, and he'll give you a smile and he'll say hello. Daniel Hume, another one. There's quite a few of those riders and they're the type of people you want. Yeah, the fans want that. If they're just good people, there's quite a few of them in this sport.
Yes, unfortunately, Dowell got himself injured, didn't he, in his last meeting for Poole before William Cairns took over. And if you notice, it was at the Berwick meeting, and I can't help but wonder, was he not distracted by some old fat dude with a really bright shirt with a Bandits fan right where he crashes? I do apologise, Dowell. It must have been my presence there that caused the problem.
Do you know what? When you next come down to Plymouth and Poole and I see that shot on the bend, I'm going to have to warn everybody.
Yeah.
I'll even tell the ref, never mind about the red light and red caps and this, that, and the other going on. Yeah. Keep an eye on that one over there.
Yeah. So yes, look. Sorry, going back to the Oxford team, you've got the 2 second strings, Luke Colleen and Mitch McDermott, and I can't help thinking that they will be looking for those two to push on and start to challenge for heat leader status.
It's going to be. Maybe controversially to that, I'd say that I don't think that they would be expected to come up in one season from where they are.
Sure.
To be of the standard of Eric and Sam and Anders.
Right.
But they've already proven that inside of the body of the team, they're good riders and they can score well and score good points. So like I said, for me, I think if they can really make that middle of the team solid, I don't know what their averages are, but if they're 4.5, 5, if they can get 5.5, 6 from inside that team for the whole of the season, I think that would be a good thing. And I think more than that, not a surprise, but be really, really, really good if they made that step. But I think they're solid riders. Certainly, Luke is stepping up each time.
Yeah. No, I mean certainly. I keep harping on about this in the Bandits discussion page, but really gutted that Drew Kemp hasn't come back, because it was unexpected that he joined us 2 years ago, and then he went from this 4.5, 5 point average to over 8 point average, and he just. Fastest guy around Shielfield Park easily over the last 2 seasons, but of course he's decided, and I suppose nobody can argue with him that it's a case of moving on to concentrating on riding in the Polish lead. But for the Latvian team, is it Dag?
Right. Okay. I don't know.
Polish and Swedish teams. So I can't help thinking that we get a lot of Australians that come over here. They take the plunge to come from the other side of the world, and one of the things that I've always felt that they makes them succeed better sometimes than the British guys is because the British guys, it's home, but for them, they're taking themselves out of their comfort zone to come over here. And they really do want to progress, and they're willing to do whatever it takes to do that. So look. Bottom line is, when Drew Kemp becomes a Grand Prix driver, a Grand Prix rider, don't forget it was the Bandits. Yeah. It was the Bandits that put you on the right track. So I was going to ask you also about, unfortunately, I think Ben Trigger lost his place at Plymouth, didn't he? And he's decided he's not going to carry on, which is really sad because I really liked Ben Trigger. I thought he was very entertaining.
Yeah. So just press pause on that for a second. Just go back to Drew very, very briefly.
Sure. Yeah.
Whilst he's not starting the season,
yes,
we see it every season that things happen in this sport. It's unfortunately it's inevitable that things happen.
Exactly.
And Drew is the type of rider. In fact, I think this happened at the beginning of last year, didn't Drew? He wasn't in a top flight club, and
Yeah.
then on the eve he came in somewhere.
Scunthorpe.
So it wouldn't surprise me one iota when changes are needed to be made. Drew's name, I'm sure, will be in the pot, and he's always been there to step in, in the past as well. So, I know it's early days of the season, and we think, oh, they're not riding. There's a few riders that have chosen not to. Yeah, when the call comes and stuff, there are some riders that will step in if they can make it work. So
Sure.
that's that. Ben. Hugely disappointing that he's taken a year out. I haven't spoken to Ben. His dad, as we know, is and the whole family have worked with Ben, bringing him up through the junior ranks, and what he had this year, last year at Redcar, last year at Redcar all season to come back to the Gladiators. Again, that call will come, and I'm sure at some point, and in the season, and if it does, then he may well think, well, okay, maybe I didn't need a whole year off. Maybe I can jump in, and it'd be good to have him back on track. We all say it, we need the British youngsters that are racing to race and to be on track. We don't need British youngsters to not be racing for one reason or another. So the more of them that continue to race, it's great that Dale Richards has come back to the sport after a few years. I think James Shanes is another rider that does a grass track. It'd be great if James, I know he's had a couple of knocks, but if he ever decided to come back, I think it'd be good for the sport. And Ben Trigger's one there that I think can slot back in, and it's wrong to say do a job, because that in my terms that belittles what he can do for his future. He's still very young, and he's still got good backing from his and knowledge from his dad. So and backing of the family. So I think if when he wants to, and hopefully it's sooner rather than later, he'll come back.
Yeah. We have a message from Dan Palmer, whose message to say that, there you go, 2023. Drew came to Scunthorpe mid-season with signing of the season for us that year. Last season, Drew replaced the Cookie Monster at Leicester at the very last minute. Yep.
So Dan and Dylan as well. They know they're doing a great job on the social media. They're helping different riders with their social medias, and they put a lot of their time into the sport as well. So good on you, Dan. Keep it going.
Yep. We're just gonna put that down there.
And actually, just touching on that, I mentioned Dylan, who was heavily involved in Birmingham, helping them with the socials last year. I wanted to shout out, because one thing we haven't touched on is that I started Speedway Portal.
Yes.
Now 10 years ago. So that was the name that we went under until we started live streaming at the clubs. And Dylan was a great supporter of ours from afar. Right. And we never forget that. We never forget that. Occasionally we'll trade some messages back and forwards and so on, but it's never lost. Anyone out there that watches the streams and sends message of encouragement, or there are people that it makes a difference to, and certainly to our crew when we work, the guys who work so hard on a night, when they come out and we're sat there and we're flicking through, if there is that nice message there, it does mean something, because we know the sport, we know that there are a lot of messages that get through people. It's easier for people to voice when there's an issue or if they're not happy. But when they are happy, they don't tend to say so much. But it does make a difference. It really does make a difference.
Absolutely.
And they work so hard. The crew, each of the track, they work so hard.
I think for me in general, if you can't say something nice about people, don't say something. But yeah, as you say, sometimes people tend to be a bit vocal about things that they're not happy with. The only other rider that, well, one other rider that we haven't touched on, that was at he was at Oxford, then he went to Glasgow and finished mid-season, was Ashton Bowden, and boy, did he look good. I was really surprised that he didn't kick on, but for whatever reason, he didn't, and obviously we can only hope that at some point he'll come back to the sport, because there have been riders that have done that, haven't they? They've been lost for a season, but they've come back refreshed, if you like, clean slate.
We can't. The sport needs those riders. Let's just take all the faff away from everything. The sport needs those young riders with potential to be good. We could get into different things about pressure and putting pressure on the rider and stuff, but then it's a business. It's also a sport. It's a winning sport. There's lots of that to go ahead with it. But I think, if you can go on that track and race, be competitive, get out in front, outgate some of those riders and put 4 laps together and ride really well, you've got massive talent. Regardless of what happens in the next heat where perhaps you don't make the gate and, you're at the back or whatever. You've got that talent because you've done it and you can do it again. It's almost just sort of breaking through that process, that consistency maybe. And the sport needs those riders in this country, definitely.
It is a very tough old sport. I would liken, as an example, doing the accordion exams. If I make a little slip up in a piece on page 4 or 5, someone like Cyril Pasby, he might not even acknowledge that because it's not really that important in the grand scheme of things. But
Nigel is somewhat.
but in speedway, the difference between a little mistake could be the difference between coming first, second, third, or fourth. And it is such a a big difference, isn't it? You're losing so many points depending on where you finish. Just a little mistake. It does seem as if at times you could. I remember watching a race once, and Mark Courtney was commentating on it because we were watching it at a Powder Hall, and he said to us, that guy leading, he's going to finish last. It's like, how do you know that? Because he could tell by the way he was riding, and sure enough, putting in loads of effort, but it's a very, very tough old gig is the speedway.
Do you know what my brother's family, they're very big into karting, right? The karting world, and I've spent many weekends and days where they've gone away and I've gone up and watched them race. They'll practice on the Friday. They'll do qualifying heats on the Saturday, qualifying heat on the Sunday morning, and then they'll do the final. Now, I've seen it many, many times where you can go out there, you can win all your qualifying races. The whole weekend is going absolutely brilliantly. You go out for the final and someone takes you off. That drive home is a disaster. That whole weekend is a complete washout disaster. That was a split second that might not have been your fault, and you've done brilliantly up to then, but it's gone. But equally, you can go out and you could have problems after problems after problems, and then you go out in the final, and it happens for you. You drive home elated, and the whole weekend's like absolutely brilliant because you've done it. So it's too easy for a fan to just look, and I include myself in this, to look at an average and to look at a rider, what's expected of him on the track and whatever. There's the world isn't about speedway and we're in it. There's a real world, and speedway is a part of that world for the rider. It's an important part. But, there's family, there's the situations in life around it. There's the traveling. There's the problems on the traveling. The car's breaking, the van's breaking down. There's extra money on that. How are we going to get back to the country? the flight's getting rearranged for those. We kind of don't really get to see that, but they deal with it. So there's a lot more going on that, than we kind of know. And sometimes, because we don't know, it's too easy for us to say, oh, well, they should be doing this, they should be doing that. They're not robots. Yep. None of us are. You know yourself, you can turn up to a gig. If you're just not on it, your fingers aren't going, you'll be smudging things just to get through the gig. It just happens that way sometimes. It just happens. You're not technically there all the time unless you're Gary Blair.
Absolutely.
The legend that is.
Yes. Now then, so we're going to finish off because we've been at this now for an hour and 20 minutes, believe it or not.
Oh my God! Sorry, guys.
I know. It's amazing, isn't it? Time flies when you're enjoying yourself. But final question then so presumably it'll be Berwick and Plymouth, Berwick and Poole that'll be competing in the playoff for the league title and the knockout cup. So who are the also rans?
No, I would say you can put your Berwick in there if you like, but you're going to have Oxford, you're going to have Poole, you're going to have Plymouth in the semi-finals, and you can have your Berwick as well. Yeah. And that's of all three competitions. That would be nice. Let's see. I really like the look of how the teams are all shaping up this year.
Yeah.
In the championship.
Yeah.
That's where I'm invested in, really, if you like. And as the teams have been coming out, I'm like, that's strong. Oh, but they're strong. And actually, when you look at it, you take the first team. I think it was it Glasgow was one, or Redcar, and you thought, Glasgow, wow, what a team. But then when you see like the others coming out, like Oxford signing Riss and you think, okay, yes, that was a good team, but now you've got another good team. So how good are they? And I think it's looking like it's going to be a little bit more on paper, which is all we've got at the moment. A little bit more across the board is what it's looking like at the moment. And I think the first 2 months of the season will be I think you're going to find that there'll be teams that will go away and win, and they'll come home and they'll lose. And they'll go away and win or lose. And I think because I don't think it will settle down, but the start of the season, I think it's very much an open playing field. I don't think I've said that in the past. I think the last few years you could pretty much say that's good, or, you could kind of say. But this year, I think it's a lot more even, and it's really good for the league, I think. Really good for the league.
Well, Andy, it's been absolutely an absolute pleasure to have you on and chatting away. And but unfortunately, all good things must come to an end eventually, and I must let you go off and enjoy the rest of the evening. Well, it's, as I say, absolute pleasure to have you on. And I mean, the last time I met you at Poole, it was like, we'd got like a couple of minutes to have a chat, so we hardly had a chat at all.
Honestly, when I'm now doing the live, before it was live, I was in amongst the pits all the time, smiling because I could edit that afterwards. Yeah. But now, I don't have a lot of time on race days at any track. Even when I'm at Poole early, I don't have a lot of time. And I'm not miserable like that all the time. Just when I'm.
Oh no, you weren't miserable when I was speaking to you. Not at all. No, it was a pleasure, as always.
Cool.
And we'll hopefully get you back on again later on in the season to update us on how things are on the wet and windy south coast. But from bright and sunny Berwick, it's a good night for him.
And a good night from him.
Exactly. Good night, everybody.